Welcome to History Lane. We'll continue with our discussion, the journey of Imam Husain from Medina to Mecca and finally from Mecca to Karbala. In the last part, we had discussed that during his stay in Mecca, Hussein bin Ali had started receiving several letters from the people of Kufa. The people of Kufa were inviting him and they were pledging their support to him. Consequently, Hussein bin Ali had sent his cousin Muslim bin Aqil towards the people of Kufa as his representative, and his main objective was to find out the ground realities of Kufa and the honesty and sincerity of their intentions. Muslim bin Aqil reached Kufa when 5 days of the Islamic month of Shawwal had already passed. Shawwal is the month that comes just after the holy Islamic month of Ramadan. When Muslim bin Aqil reached there, he stayed at the house of Mukhtar as-Saqafi, who was one of the staunchest supporters of Hussein bin Ali. Now, when the people heard that Hussein's representative Muslim is present in Kufa, they started visiting the house of Mukhtar as-Saqafi just to meet Muslim. They came to Muslim and they pledged their oath of allegiance to Hussein, and they promised that they would support Hussein once he arrives in the city. And according to many historical sources, around 18,000 people came to Muslim and they gave their oath of allegiance for Hussein in a matter of few days. When Muslim bin Aqil saw such an overwhelming support for Hussein bin Ali from the people of Kufa, he was prompted to write a letter to Hussein bin Ali in which he wrote that the situation in Kufa is conducive and it is very favorable, so he may proceed towards Kufa as soon as possible. Now, this letter has been dispatched, but in the meantime, the governor of Kufa, Noman bin Bashir, comes to know about the developments. When he comes to know about these happenings, he gets too worried and he calls the people of Kufa in the central mosque. When the people gather in the central mosque, Noman bin Bashir goes on the pulpit and addresses the people of Kufa, and in that address he warns people against creating any sort of disorder, and he tells them that they may abstain from breaking their allegiance to Yazid, and in case they do so, then he will be prompted to take action against them, and he said he will fight them till his grip on his sword is strong. Now, when Noman bin Bashir was delivering his speech, a person who was the agent of the Umayyads in Kufa by the name of Abdullah bin Muslim bin Rabi'a Hazrami, he stood up and he said that the words which I hear from you are the words of a weak person. The situation in Kufa has to be dealt with an iron fist and not with the sort of attitude that you are showing. Noman bin Bashir replies that I prefer to be a weak person while I'm obedient to the Almighty rather than being a strong person while I'm disobedient to the Almighty. And by this, he comes down from the pulpit and the people disperse. Now, as soon as the people disperse, this person, Abdullah bin Muslim bin Rabi'a, he also comes out of the mosque and he writes a letter to Yazid bin Muawiyah, the ruler in Syria. And through this letter, he informs him about the conditions of Kufa, and he tells him that the person who is appointed as the governor of Kufa is a weak person. So send some person who can handle the situation with an iron fist. Similar letters were also written by Umar bin Uqba and Umar ibn Saad bin Abi Waqas. When Yazid receives such letters, then he calls upon Sarjun. Now, Sarjun was actually the slave of Yazid's father Muawiyah, and now he was working as the chief advisor of Yazid. Yazid tells him the entire matter, and Sarjun asks Yazid, "What if your father comes back to life? Won't you take his advice?" And to this, Yazid replied that, "Of course, if my father comes back to life, I will definitely take his advice." So at this moment, Sarjun takes out a document. Now, this was a document that was dictated by Muawiyah on his deathbed, and in this letter, he was ordering the governor of Basra, Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, to also take charge of Kufa. But before this letter could be dispatched, Muawiyah had passed away. Now, this letter was sent to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, and he was commanded to rush towards Kufa as soon as he receives this document. So, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, he reaches Kufa, and as soon as he reaches Kufa, the situation in Kufa changes drastically. Now, those people who were pledging their support for Hussein bin Ali were nowhere to be seen, because Ibn Ziyad had threatened that any person who supports Hussein or who goes against Yazid will be dealt very, very harshly. Now, ultimately, Muslim bin Aqil had to seek another refuge. He had to leave the house of Mukhtar al-Saqafi, and he took refuge at the house of Hani bin Urwa. Ultimately, both Muslim bin Aqil and Hani bin Urwa got arrested, and according to historical sources, they were ultimately killed, and they were killed either on the 8th day of the Islamic month of Zilhijjah or the 9th day of Islamic month of Zilhijjah. Now, both these days have a very important significance in the Islamic calendar. The 8th day of the month of Zilhijjah is known as the day of Tarwiyah, and the 9th day is known as the day of Arafah, and this is the period of Hajj. Now, here in Mecca, Hussein bin Ali had already received the letter which was sent by Muslim bin Aqil, in which he had written that the situation in Kufa is favorable and he may proceed towards Kufa. And he had also received the news through his confidants that people had entered with the intention of killing him. Now, these people had disguised themselves as Hajj pilgrims on the orders of Yazid, and their main intention was to eliminate Hussein bin Ali. When he hears this news, now he had to take a quick decision, and he had to move out of Mecca as soon as possible. So, on the day of Tarwiyah in Kufa, Muslim and Hani were killed, and it was the day of Tarwiyah when Hussein bin Ali was leaving Mecca. Now, when Hussein bin Ali left Mecca along with his companions, along with his family members, the people from the Muslim world, from the Arabian Peninsula, were actually entering Mecca because of the Hajj pilgrimage. And Hussein bin Ali was moving in the opposite direction with his small entourage. Now, a person by the name of Farazdak, who was a famous Arabic poet, narrates that he met Hussein bin Ali on the outskirts of Mecca, and he was quite surprised to see Hussein bin Ali moving in the opposite direction. He goes to Hussein bin Ali and he asks the reason. Hussein bin Ali said that I know that if I stay back in Mecca, I will be killed, and I do not want to be killed inside the holy sanctuary of Mecca, and I prefer being killed 1 inch outside the boundaries of Mecca. So that is why I'm leaving Mecca. And he also inquired about the people of Kufa and the people of Iraq. What are their intentions? So Farasdak informs him that the people of Kufa, their hearts are with you, but their swords are with the Umayyads. So he warns him against going towards Kufa, but Hussein bin Ali replies, whatever Almighty decides for me will be the best. Thanks for watching History Lane.